Welcome to the premiere of Local Threads. I'm Molly, your host and Boston transplant. My first guest you may know as Kelly from the Deli, season 14 Project Runway finalist, Boston's first native contestant, self-taught sewist, and designer Kelly Dempsey. In this episode, we dig into her journey from growing up in a small town to national television, and now launching her latest project, Barterloo. Barterloo is a new peer-to-peer trading platform where people can swap goods and services, no cash needed. It's all about building community, cutting waste, and getting creative with how we support each other. Kelly's story is bold, honest, and full of grit. Let's dive in. Welcome. Thank you for being here all the way from the North End.
North of Boston.
Same
thing. Yeah.
Fail every time. I don't know what shit's called.
I'm like 10 minutes north of Boston, so I just say north of Boston, but
Okay.
I pretty much say Boston for people that aren't from here because they don't know.
I don't know. I live here. Let's do a this or that. So, are you a beach or a forest person?
I like both. Can I pick both?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say mostly beach because I need the water.
Do you swim in the water here?
I swim anywhere, yeah.
Anywhere. It's so cold.
I know. It's a treat when I go somewhere warmer, but
Yeah.
I'll take any water.
I need to try it again. I went the first time I moved here and it was June. Big mistake.
Oh, yeah. It didn't heat up yet.
Are you summer or winter?
Summer all day.
Yeah. I think you kind of have to be living here because winter is such a hibernation mode.
I think about why I live here because I need warm all the time, but
Yeah.
it also makes you appreciate the warm weather when it comes.
That's
so
true. Are you 90s or Y2K?
definitely 90s.
Yeah, same. Metal or hip hop?
Hip hop. It's got to go by the mood.
Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
Yeah.
I feel like because I work in my studio all day,
Yeah.
I need to
I feel like I staycation all the time. Isn't that just the weekend? We need to just get rid of the staycation because of COVID. I think that was our
It's done.
generational. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's dead.
it's over.
Movie or TV series?
I don't have cable, but I get DVDs at the thrift store, and I love things that are funny. So DVDs, is that an option?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Honestly, physical media, I feel like people are getting more back to that because of the licensing expiring from hosting platforms and digital media. So your favorite movie you bought on Amazon, guess what? That might not be there. So
Yeah.
thrift or DVDs, y'all.
Yep.
And series.
They're like $1. And my boyfriend's like, we can just buy them new, but I'm like, that's no fun.
Yeah.
I'd rather hunt it out.
Yeah. Nightlife or day trips?
At this point in my life, definitely day trips.
Yeah.
Get up early,
Yeah.
get a juice, go somewhere cool. No, that's the vibe. Definitely.
Festival or small venue?
I spent over a decade of my life going to music festivals in an old Volkswagen van.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, all over the country. So I had a lot of fun at all those. I don't know if I would still do it now.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, met a lot of cool people, but now, I don't know. But when I was in my early 20s, I had a ball.
Yeah. We already have the medals, the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Well, we're moving on from this and that. Fashion regret. You loved at the time, but now looking back, you cringe when you think about something you used to love, wear or a style you had.
I would say before I learned about fast fashion,
Yeah.
because I
Same.
never had money growing up, so I would always buy stuff that was affordable, and I didn't know actually what I was buying then.
Yeah.
And I don't regret it because I didn't know it.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, buying clothes from people and things that are killing the planet.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of crazy once you realize what is going on. And
Once you know, yeah.
what is the most iconic fashion film to you? And that doesn't have to be a movie about fashion, but something about that movie. It might be a hard one, but
See, a lot of the movies that I love are 90s, and those are all I loved the movie Buffy the Vampire
Yeah.
Slayer growing up with, I forget what her name was, but I just loved the style back
Yeah.
then, just the whole 90s vibe. She had a yellow jacket that I
Yeah.
remember, and I actually thrifted one a while ago that looked like it, and I was really excited. I mean, it's all different now, I
Yeah.
feel but anything from the 90s, the starter jackets, just the windbreakers,
Yeah.
all the fun stuff. I had one forever. I ended up losing it through life, and then my boyfriend's brother actually found one on eBay, so pretty much the same one that I had. And they didn't write anything in it yet. You know, it's like, hello,
Yeah.
my name is.
Yeah.
So it was meant for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I missed when jackets had the zipper on the side.
The zipper on the side needs to come back.
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
A little air vent.
Yeah. Or like, this is my winter weight. Let me get a little extra room.
Little room. Yeah, exactly.
If you had a soundtrack, what would be on it?
I listen to a bunch of stuff. I go from one to the other, but this sounds so weird. I listen to a lot of frequencies because I'm into like
Yeah.
vibration and energy. So I'll go on YouTube and I'll be like high vibration or alignment frequencies. I listen to a lot of sounds. If I'm not in that mode, I listen to like 90s hip hop, old beats, or like a lot of like chill music. There's this band called The Surfaces. And like, I feel like my mind's always chaotic, so like it's good to like have something like music balance
Yeah,
that.
me too. Yeah, I listen to lo-fi
Yeah.
all the time
Lots
on
of
YouTube.
lots
I
of
love
lo-fi.
it. So you grew up in Massachusetts, but not in Boston.
Yes, a small town in Western Mass called Munson. If you ever saw Kingpin, I think the writers were from the next town over because they
nice.
named the guy Roy Munson. It's that bowling
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. I remember watching that. I feel like movies used to be so much more fun.
They're so much more fun. Yeah. Or it's just like, it's just not hitting the same.
Yeah, it doesn't. So when did you start sewing? Were you in Western Mass at the time, or had you already moved to this area?
So I was about 10 years old and we lived in a really small town with no street lights, like no corporate businesses. And we didn't have a ton of money growing up. So my mom would give me a couple dollars and I would go next door. There was a church that had a thrift store in there called the Church Mouse. And it was two buildings over.
I
And
love that name.
the Church
So
Mouse.
cute.
It was cute. It was literally my saving grace as a kid because like I loved it. And I was 10 years old, I'd dig through bins, be all excited. And then I'd go to school and being in a really small town, people recognize their clothes and they were like, you're wearing my old shirt. And then I used to get bullied really bad for that and like being the food token girl in school. So my mom actually had a craft store in the front of our house with like hours on the front of our house. She used to go to bring us to different yard sales. We called them tag sales.
Yeah, I
Western Mass.
know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I noticed that. I was like, what is that?
I'm sticking with tag sale.
I like them. I like it.
Yeah. So I would like watch her get like silverware from the thrift store or like yard sales and stuff. Tag sales. Look at. And I would watch her like repurpose stuff. She'd make wind chimes out of silverware, really cool stuff. And I was like, I don't need to be like a victim of this situation. So I started cutting up like all my clothes that like people knew. And I made new stuff. Like I Frankensteined it together. I was like 10 or 11. But I would go to school and people wouldn't recognize their clothes. And they were like, oh, that's really cool. And I sort of realized that like not all the time you're a victim in your situation. There's things you can do
Yeah.
to like figure it out because I'm like, I'm not going to be bullied over this. Like, and that's sort of where the passion grew. And it sort of was like an empowerment thing.
Yeah.
Where it totally like sparked my creativity and just like pushing for things that you want to do, not caring what other people think.
That's so cool that you started doing that at 10.
Thrifting wasn't cool then. It's
No.
so different now.
Yeah, you kidding me? Like, I honestly didn't even have a thrift store or anything near me. Like, I don't even remember shopping that much at all.
But people say now, yeah, the thrift stores may have gone up a couple dollars. It's still cheaper than buying something that was exploiting. But people complain about, you know, oh, thrifting's like cool now. I wish it was cool then. Like, I feel good for the kids that growing up now in the situation I grew up in.
Yeah.
Because they're able to express themselves and not get picked on, you know, by just getting dressed and going somewhere they have to go to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're more like conscious, and I love that.
We had a store called Rave at a mall near us. Do you remember that store?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, that's definitely like fast fashion, but I didn't know because everything was like $2. So I was so excited I could buy it.
Exactly. That's how they get you.
This is how they get you. They suck you right in.
Yeah. When did you move to Boston?
So I moved to Boston when I was 17 or 18. I didn't have the easiest childhood. I definitely like took an unbeaten path.
Yeah.
And I was living like, I think at my aunt's attic. And one of my friends was like, do you want to come to this music festival, Bonnaroo in Tennessee? And I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, I think I was working at Wendy's, you know, worked at Ames. I don't even know if those are still around.
Is that a grocery store?
It was like a Walmart or no, like a Kmart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was like, you know, why not? And then I went to this festival with like 100,000 people there. And I actually met my now ex-boyfriend there who was from the Boston area. So I ended up moving in like pretty quick. I don't even think there were no cell phones yet. It was like email.
Yeah.
And I grew up a little bit north of Boston, not far from where I am now. But like sometimes things don't work out, but then you realize like it was necessary in your
Yeah.
journey. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it definitely got me out of like the funk of the small town that I thought I was stuck in,
Yeah.
you know?
It's really hard to even imagine going somewhere else. It seems like impossible until you do it and they're like, yeah, I'm not going back.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I was just ready for like anything different as well. So it was definitely a change living in like a more money affluent area from what I grew up in. I drove like a 92 Honda Accord and with these like rims I got in this town at this car place and they were definitely stolen, I think, because they were like 24-inch rims on my $500 Honda. I looked like I was driving around a Matchbox car in
That's
this really
awesome.
rich town. Everyone's like, who is this? I'm like, it's me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm me.
Sorry.
Not sorry. The car lasted
Yeah.
me like 12 years.
So when did you decide to do Project Runway?
I always wanted to do fashion, so I would work jobs that I was able to be flexible with. So I waitressed for like 15 years. And I applied for Project Runway 5 or 6 years before I was on. And I would write to so many people on like Craigslist doing New York fashion events. And I never like had money or connections or anything. So I would send like 50 emails a day and I would be like, hey, I have like these dresses I made. I really want to show them. I don't know how to get into this. And people would give me opportunities. So I would drive down to New York or take the bus, or my friend would drive me. I don't think I had a car then at that point. But we would sleep in her car in like parking garages like after the events just because like we didn't have money for a hotel. And every time I'd go to New York, I'd be like, oh my God, this is my big break. And then nothing actually like quote unquote came of it. But I remember remember Tumblr? I put all the pictures like of all my shows that I thought were wasted and nothing, my big break didn't happen on that Tumblr page. And then I was working at the deli after waitressing because I had this weird anxiety thing when I was waitressing one day. Like my legs went numb. It was like a nerve thing, nothing serious. But every time I went back to that job, even though I've done that for like 10 years, I was getting like really anxious. So I had to
Yeah.
switch jobs. I think it was like my anxiety was wild then. And I worked at the deli for like 2 months and then I started printing out. I did not apply for Project Runway that season. I
Oh, wow.
I intuitively just started printing out before I would go to work at the deli, like handouts so thick. And I would be like reading how to make shirts, how to do a sleeve, how to do this. And I said to my boyfriend, you can ask him, I was like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so psychotically, like obsessively like doing this when I've done this consistently? You know, it's like I intuitively knew I needed to learn more. And then a week later, I got an email out of the blue from Project Runway. I don't know if they scouted me because they do scout, or if they had my thing from 4 or 5 years ago, but they were like, hey, do you want to apply? So I was like, yeah, I do. And it made sense, you know, after it's all over, why I was doing that. It's like intuitively my something knew that
Yeah.
like I needed to be ready for this.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And if I didn't listen to my intuition, I probably would have gone home for, not saying going home first is bad, but you know, I went in as the only self-taught designer. I did go to Mass Art for 1 year, but I took state regulated classes. My dad got sick and I left. I really only went because somebody told me I
Yeah.
couldn't get in. So I really
Yeah.
wanted to prove that I could.
Exactly.
But I was sewing for 15 years before that. Even the teachers were like, go handle your family stuff. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be fine. So, you know, going in being one of the only self-taught designer, I'm glad I did like psychotic obsessive reading like right before I went in cuz everything was like fresh.
Yeah, you wouldn't even like imagine something like that happen.
And then going down for the audition, my friend was driving me and she got us a hotel for the night. She had like a seizure within 10 minutes of driving from Boston to New York. I had my application, like my portfolio, whatever, like everything ready to go. She's like, I'm not feeling so well. Do you mind driving? I was like, yeah, it's fine. She had a seizure literally like within 10 minutes. I don't know. She said it wasn't a seizure, but she said she gets them before. Either way, there was a hospital sign on the highway and I drove off so fast and I ran into the hospital. I'm like, because she felt like hard as a rock. Like I was terrified. I was like
Yeah.
screaming. And then she ended up staying back because she just didn't feel good. She
Yeah.
was okay. So she's like, go pick up your mom. She's on the way. Like, I got the hotel for you guys. So I got there just in the lick of time, like, to go in for my audition. It was just like madness
Yeah.
getting there. I feel like it's always like harder before, things happen. And
Yeah, that's wild. Like that would have probably shook me to the point of not even being able to do it, but it sounds like your friend was really supportive and like wanted you to go.
I
Like
lived with her for 10 years. I've never
yeah.
seen her do that. She's like, oh, that's normal. I just passed out. I was like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
You scared? I was like,
That whole thing was pretty intimidating, but you like kicked its
it's
ass.
it's super intimidating, but at the same time, I feel when you have nothing to start with, you have
Yeah.
nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that were there, different designers, they have like PR telling them what to say, what to
Yeah.
do. And then when the camera's off, I feel like they're just so chill and cool. And I'm like, how come you don't act like that, like in front? And they're like, oh, well, I have to say this because they have businesses and
Yeah.
things. And I was working at the deli, and I'm always like, whatever I think, I'll just do it. And I'm very like last minute, but that's when I do my best work.
Same.
So I think not knowing what's happening there and not knowing our next steps, I actually like thrived in that
Yeah.
environment. When some people need schedules like freak me out.
Yeah, I hate them. I hate them. What was the hardest part about it?
The hardest part about it is we had to take a 600 question psychiatric test before
What?
at the
I would have been like, no.
well, they gave us a pamphlet, and you have to go to the doctor's office and have them open it and sit in the waiting room so you don't have like someone else answering your questions. So I went in 15 minutes before. I'm like, it's going to be like 10 questions. There was like 600 questions, and they're so different, the multiple choice. So it's like, do you like the color green? Very much, very not. Do you kill cats? Is like the next one. So you have to read them,
Yeah.
And I think they do that because when you're there for it could be up to 3 months, you don't have a phone, you can't go for walks by yourself, you can't watch TV, you can't read magazines. They want you to pull everything from
Yeah.
like here. I think that was definitely a hard part. The hardest part for me was not talking to my boyfriend or my
Yeah.
family and friends. They let me talk to my boyfriend once, and that was like cameras right in your face, and I was like, hi. Okay, I guess I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. I think back then it would be easy not having a phone, but now,
It's so much different. It's different.
yeah.
I was the last out of all my friends to get a phone, and now I say, though, it's like if I had a question, I'd walk to the library to get an answer, and people are like, phones are the devil or whatever. And it's like, actually, it's how you use it. It's
Yeah.
a tool.
Yeah.
It can be for
Yeah.
sure. But if you're using it to like learn and grow, and it's like endless. So
What was next after Project Runway?
Project Runway opened a ton of doors. I learned a lot. And I think going into it with the mindset I have is if you think you know everything, that's when you stop learning.
Yeah.
And I'm over here, you're over there, like the judges. So they know something I don't know. So, it's important to take the criticism, but keep being you,
Yeah.
just refine in a certain way. So after Project Runway, I was like, I'm going to launch my fashion brand. I've always wanted to do this. And as I learned more and more about production and getting into the industry, I realized I want nothing to do with any of that. And it kind of went full circle after, trying to do a few things ethically, which I'm not really a production person. I'm definitely not a production person. I think we're all different. We all need something unique nobody else has. So I went back to thrift flipping and really using my platform to show people that, most of the items, over 86% of items at a thrift store actually goes to a landfill or gets incinerated. It's not like, oh, thrift stores are more expensive because of all the resellers. I don't resell, but that's not true because so much of it is still going to landfill. There is so much clothing and like on this planet right now.
Yeah.
People look at it as, oh, that's trash, that's smelly. So I like to inspire people or, to look at something with a different perspective, that you have to look at things in a different way. There's beauty all around us. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily like something we need to spend money to get a
Yeah.
ton of money,
Exactly. And you were upcycling before it was cool too. So I
Yeah.
think that's so cool that you started when you were 10 and then it evolved into going to Project Runway and then now into you do auctions on your website.
It's sort of when you think at that age, like that was traumatizing for me because as a kid, that's
Yeah.
your whole world. But then as time goes by, you don't realize that that was a necessary point of my path to lead me back to where I'm going
Your
now.
canon moment.
Yeah, it's like a full circle.
Yeah.
So it's like the things that are so difficult actually shape us and grow us to push past that, if
Yeah.
we allow it.
So you started thrift flipping, and that's what you do on your salvaged aura.
Yeah, so I switched to auction style because like I said, I'm not very good at the schedules. So I would just launch stuff at random times. And a lot of people that have been following me for a while, they're like, I didn't know, that. So now every Saturday I do an auction. And I also add up I put on some thrift finds that I also see when I'm sourcing materials. If I see something cool, I'll add it on there for the auction. So I'll put a couple items up a week that even if it's items like I save bags, produce bags that like the cool color netting, whatever
Yeah.
like inspires me that could be trash or that is trash and could be something else
Yeah.
is like where my creativity jumps in.
I love those earrings that you posted recently of the CDs.
The CD. This is a CD. Am I wearing it? That's one of the rings from the collection.
That's awesome.
It's got this. So I scraped the CDs, poured it in resin, and then had this set with a jeweler in New York to make the samples. We did an event at Bloomingdale's. We were going to totally pop off. I had somebody reach out from the Dick Clark production, which runs like the AMAs, all the music awards. They run a lot of music stuff. They had a ton of CDs in their inventory and they were going to be just thrown away. So it was like a side project. They hired a
Yeah.
designer and I worked with them. And then COVID hit. Bloomingdale's was interested in the collection and we did a whole photo shoot. And then literally COVID happened and it got dissolved. But I was really bummed out because that was 1 year I
Yeah.
dedicated fully to that. But like I said, I feel like everything, if a door shuts, it's because there's something better coming.
Yeah.
You just got to redirect it,
And on your website, you also do upcycling courses and sewing courses and things like that. Is that something you plan on still doing moving forward?
So I developed a beginner sewing course, and I think it's great for people that aren't super studious.
Yeah.
So I'm very informal, unconventionally taught. So I teach in a way that's very like, all right, you put this there,
Yeah.
instead of
Relatable.
you need this fancy thing to do this, relatable.
Yeah.
So I created a good beginner sewing class for, anybody interested in sewing that has never done it before. And I don't know how much I'm going to do after that. I like teaching, but I rather if I'm going to do something like that, I'd like to do like a workshop in person or something. But I have the beginner course that's amazing that I promote here and there and that I think helps a lot of people. But besides that, I'd probably stick to just in-person stuff.
Speaking of your next venture,
Drum roll, please.
you have recently announced Barterloo, online platform for essentially trading resources. And I love that your motto, you don't need to earn your currency, you are the currency. Yeah, I love that.
100%. I went to Mexico 5 years ago and I went to an old Mayan trading post called the Coba Ruins. And we learned all about how the Mayan civilization for centuries thrived off the barter system. Not just them, the whole world.
Wait, 5 years ago. That was 2019?
Actually,
Yeah.
I was wearing a mask. It was during COVID.
It was during COVID.
Yeah.
I went to Coba too in 2019.
You did?
That's funny. We
Did
were
you
there.
see
I went
the-
to Coba.
Did you see the observatory?
I don't
The
think
cool-
we saw everything. I think I got too hot.
I got in one of those little carts because it was so big, and
We were in Mexico at
it
the
was an
same
hour
time,
drive
pretty
from
much.
Tulum.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. We might have been there at the same time.
Yeah, I learned that the barter system was that was the currency.
Yeah,
They would trade cacao for things from the Spaniards, different potteries and stuff like that. That was well before fiat money ever existed. And really, I feel like Barterloo for me and for everybody isn't a new thing. It's a remembrance of how things were before we got stuck doing jobs we don't love.
Yeah.
And we have to use our money for things that we have to buy, like bills and stuff like that. So Barterloo came also through is because I never had a lot of money. So everything I made to create, to sell, went to my bills. And I'm not able to support artists. Artists aren't able to support other artists, most of them at the beginning stages of that. And Barterloo is a way where you can trade what you have because we all have a skill, whether we know it or not. And I'm
Yeah.
also offering like secondhand goods as well because there's so much of that. So if you don't necessarily teach a language or sew or paint or do web design or a mechanic or anything, I eventually want it more than just artists. I want this to be a whole world global movement.
Yeah.
We're going to start global. So I want farmers to be, on the platform and all different types of resources because locally we just work jobs we don't like. And then we give our money to these big corporations that do nothing to give anything back to us when that's not an equal energetic exchange. I
Right.
feel like humans are just getting drained and drained and drained. And we need an equal exchange back. So I'm creating a platform where it's going to be easily, you can say the things you're looking for, what you offer, and then more of just like a Craigslist where people post barter post. I want this to be a self-sustaining ecosystem. So we're going to have a community thread. So you can post barter posts on there. You can also be like, hey, I'm new to the platform. I make this stuff. I live in this area. And we'll also have like a page with all different hubs. So if you're a fiber artist or you're a painter in New England, you can join that. So it's a way we can get closer with our community together and also globally as
Yeah.
well. Because there's people that have things in other countries that need, maybe they want to learn English, right?
Yeah.
And you want something that they make. And I just think the system is starting to collapse, and I think people feel it in a
Yeah.
way. Energetically, I feel people are looking for something deeper,
Yeah.
something with more value, realizing you have value. Because if you have to work a job you don't like, there's something you have a passion in that you're not able to do. So if you can free up some of your money, you can spend some time doing more of what you love and getting the things you want,
Yeah.
and then using that money for things you have to buy, like bills and all that stuff. So
Yeah. I think it's great because there are so many talented people. It's such a good way of combining tech and also
well, if you think about
rooted in
how
how things used to work.
Yeah, if you think about it, back then when and the barter system thrived so well, I needed to get my hair done for an event, and my friend needed a dress for a wedding she was going to, and they were both like about $400. So I'm like, I'll make you a dress, you do my hair, and that was a few years ago. But instead of me having to spend that $400, I'm able to trade my craft for something that I need.
Yeah.
And now, like you said, I don't want to use technology to replace humans. I want to rekindle it,
Yeah.
rekindle the human connection. Because, like I said with phones earlier, it can either be a good thing or a bad thing,
Right.
using it. But if we can use it in a way to bring us together, that's where the real power is when you don't have to rely on. And also, Barterloo is going to be community governed. It's the first community governed barter app because I feel like we don't have any say in the things that happen in the places we give our money. And I want people to be empowered to know that they have a say in how that ecosystem shapes. You know what I mean? So we're going to do a $5 a month subscription for each person. No money exchange on the app, no fees, no nothing like that. But just $5 to keep it self-sustained, people powered. I had a few investors reach out to me, and I don't want to go that route because then I'm
Yeah.
giving away some of the power to somebody, one person saying something when I don't want that.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing a Kickstarter next month because to have it community governed, it really needs to be community funded.
Yeah.
To have it start with the people, get those people on the platform at the beginning, so it's successful from the start. You know what I mean? So if someone just invests, not too many people are going to know about it. You know what I mean?
That and they don't usually take a small chunk, right?
No.
So you are limited in what you can do and also the future of Barterloo. So for those people that don't understand like community governance, can you explain that?
Community governance is, so if you were a member of Barterloo in 3 months, it's not going to go up to $10 a month. Or, oh, we're going to start putting ads on the platform. Or, oh, we're going to not allow this or that, or have different sort of rules that I want the people to vote. So even, for instance, if there's a dispute and say, we did a trade, you traded me this recording session or whatever, and I made you a bag, and you never followed through, or I didn't make the bag like I said I was going to, we're going to have a whole dispute, kind of like a jury, like on the
Okay.
platform.
Yeah.
So let the people decide,
Yeah.
like were they right? Were they wrong? Does that person need to be banned? Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's people feel very like with all the big platforms, they feel very like, I mean, at least the people I talk to and how I feel is like every time I look, something's different, or it's like not working the way it's supposed to be working and it's not benefiting in a certain way. But it's like, I want everyone to know that like that's theirs as
Yeah.
well. It's a safe place where you can talk about things and get the things you want and give the things that people need,
Yeah.
We already have it all.
Yeah.
We don't need anything. I feel like that's like society, like corporate capitalism is. We didn't think we needed the system, then they wouldn't be in control of
Right.
all of us doing things that we don't want to do, struggling,
Yeah.
And I just think about all the things I could have given to people and gotten myself instead of just struggling and,
Yeah. Imagine like the possibilities too with the hubs
Yeah.
and, a market's no longer a market, and it's like the community comes together and it's like, I have this, you want to trade? Oh my God, that would be so fun.
So the thing is I did some research. There's a couple different barter apps that recently came out, but they're like more of a Craigslist style where you just say what you want, what you need. But I think the biggest thing missing is the community aspect
Yeah.
of actually connecting with people and know who, you're talking to. And to do that, to create like a high level feed that refreshes every 3 seconds, that is like my business partner in Austria, he's the tech guy. He is amazing. I met him actually in Mexico on that trip
Oh,
with
that's
his
crazy.
fiance and my friend. Yeah. And he's amazing at all that stuff. But what he's built, even the skeleton of it, he's like, this is only 1% of what we need. That's why we need the funding, because there needs to be so much like data in there. I don't even know all the tech stuff, but to create a fast feed, that's going to benefit and you're going to see the things you want to see. There's so much tech that goes in like
Right.
behind the scenes that I don't even understand. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Same.
yeah.
So when your Kickstarter happens, how does it work exactly? You'll launch the Kickstarter and then you obviously are requesting community funding. How long are you going to be running the Kickstarter for?
So
or
the
what's your goal, rather?
The Kickstarter is gonna be 30 days, and we were gonna do it May 1st, but we still have a ton of stuff we want to do before, because with all the research and stuff I've been learning with Kickstarter, is the pre before is really determines if your Kickstarter is going to be successful or not. We are partnering with Kick Booster, which is affiliated, I think, in some way with Kickstarter. But anybody that gets somebody to donate to the Kickstarter, we're going to be doing an affiliate program where that person will get 25% of the donation to help bring people on, because we need a lot of exposure on this. We're looking for 88,000 right now. My business partner said that's on the low end. He already has it all like written out, but he has a decent amount of good team around him that he thinks he could do it for that.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
And you said 30 days.
30 days. And if the thing with Kickstarter is if you don't reach your goal, you get nothing.
Yeah.
And I still chose to do a Kickstarter because I'm like, listen, I'm going to gung-ho this out the gate. And if it starts on fire, which I think it will, then it's meant to be. If it doesn't, then I'll figure out a different route. Either way, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I just, really being community governed, I think that's a big thing to keep it community based.
I mean, there's so many talented people, like you said. When you do the Kickstarter, 30 days, you need $88,000. That's not crazy.
It's not crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I think the biggest challenge is really, I think people think it's a great idea, but it's so a distant thing than we're used to living day in, day out, that it seems so kind of foreign. So I think, the more I talk about it, the more I, show different examples of people connecting, really opens up the possibilities of what it can be. Because really, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I'd love to trade vintage for some podcast.
A dog walker.
Yeah, dog walker, an editor for my videos.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. It's endless.
And we're
It's
going to make
endless.
sure, there's going to be a verification process when you sign up. So because we are already talking about big corporations or fast fashion, not making like 100 stores and selling this and that. But also, if you're not getting money in return, I don't think it'll really gauge that. But, there's always scammers everywhere.
So are you going to have like community mods, like hub mods or?
Yeah. And then I said my business partner is talking about there's certain keywords and things
Yeah.
that, all goes into the infrastructure of the platform. So that's going to be a big thing is to, keep it PG. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
People can report a barter post profile.
Yeah.
So if something looks sketchy to you, you can report it. And then that'll go through a system where, we determine if it's this or that. And if it's goes past a certain thing where it's not getting banned right away, it goes to the community, jurors. So
That's awesome. Well, obviously Reddit is a good example.
Yep.
And it's working there, so.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of the funding we need comes in as well, is to build the infrastructure for the safety of the platform. Like if you need a dog walker, that person needs to be verified. And then also you'll be able to review people. If you did a barter post, trade with me, you can review my platform or my post profile. So, you can find people credited, as time moves on through the app. And, we're going to have a leaderboard, like not a leaderboard, but like spotlighting, people that are doing fair trades that are getting good responses back, people that are helping really build the community up,
So let's say I donate to the Kickstarter. What do I get out of that?
We're going to have a few different tiers. So we have a few different options, like a free year subscription. So we're still working on all the tier system to get that out. But we have a few different things, like being part of our quarterly, Zoom talk where you could cast your vote in what you think this and this is and stuff like that. Even though we're not you don't pay more to get more of a say on the platform, but more exposure of like what's happening with what's going on and what to put out to the community to vote on.
But you'll end up being first wave, or how does that work?
And also you'll be part of the beta testing.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get on.
Yeah, you're in, yeah. So the beta testing to, see how everything's flowing, see what we need to change, see what we need to do, and, be some of the first to have your barter post up on, the site before it launches. So
Yeah. Are you going to have user numbers?
What do you mean?
I'm in a beta right now. And the reason I ask is because I'm so jealous. There's somebody that has like, the single digit numbers of like their username. And it's like, oh man,
Yeah, so
the elite.
So you get to pick. That is another one, actually. Yes, with the funding, if you donate to the Kickstarter, you have first say at your username.
Oh yeah, that's important.
Yes,
That's a big deal.
so it's not like Kelly D 994628.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dash 1000.
dash 1000.
Do you have a launch date?
We are planning for the fall,
Nice.
so I'm gonna guess October-ish. We're saying September, but I'm saying more close to October.
Okay.
So since my business partner built the whole skeleton of, what we want it to look like, that's something that we don't need to go through with developers. We have like a blueprint that we can give them. So having him is amazing. This is ours 50-50 because
That's great.
funny story, before I met him in Mexico, a year before, he was going to launch a platform called Coachify.
Yeah, I read that on the
Yeah.
website.
Yeah, he had the idea, like himself as well. He has the same values and, ethics as I do with what we think the world should be, look like. So he's totally aligned with everything. And he showed me the platform. He never launched it. And I'm like, that's so crazy. Like we both kind of his was with coaching, an hour of this for an hour of that, which you can do on Barterloo now.
Yeah.
So Barterloo is just an expanded version of that.
Which it's so great too, because sometimes you just need a mentor. Because some people are really good at solving problems, and some people are really good at executing. And I'm the first one.
You're the solver? I think I might be more of an executor, yeah.
Yeah.
And then hopefully I get there when I'm executing. Hopefully I solve it at some point.
Yeah.
That's the goal anyway.
You mentioned affiliate program. What does that mean?
So affiliate, even though it's not a money-based app, we still need to grow the platform and people need to live, right? And survive right now. So to help grow the platform, instead of just, hey, bring all these people on, we're giving an incentive to everybody that donates, whoever brings them on. So anybody could be an affiliate. You could be an affiliate, know 3 people, they can use your link to go sign up for donate to the Kickstarter. And then you would get 25% of whatever donations they put in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Because,
Link in the show notes.
yeah. Because, right? Like it's not, I love like design and fashion and all that, but I feel like everything I've ever done up to this point, I always feel like, okay, there's something else I should be doing. There's something bigger that I should be doing. And I feel Barterloo is
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
feel like I can go up and bring everybody with me.
Yeah, it's so passion driven, emotional driven, and heartfelt, and it's such a big thing that's missing in community. Like
Yeah.
community doesn't exist
Yeah.
really, and so that's a big reason why I wanted to do this podcast, is to bring people together, get people to understand someone a little bit better than maybe a 2-minute Instagram reel, and understand the ins and outs of whatever they have going on, and it'd be so cool if like we all run into each other and we know each other a little bit better using the tech we have in
That's
a
what
better way.
That's what I'm saying. Like with the hubs,
Yeah.
you could have hub for certain areas, and anybody from that area, we're also going to have a search feature, which is amazing. This is also going to take a lot of work to put in, but instead of just flipping through the feed, I hope
Yeah.
I find something, we're going to have a whole search page where you can search by location within 5 miles, within 10 miles, or globally.
That's perfect.
So you can connect with people around you, you can friend people, so it's going to be very community based with the fact of, you can start talking with people. And also we have this thing called, like, it's a Barterloo. So if you like somebody's barter post and they happen to like something that you're bartering, it's like kind of like a match, like Tinder.
Yeah.
It pops up an instant window where you can just start talking right away.
Oh, that's great. So you
Yeah.
have to have that engagement in order
Yes.
to interact, which I like.
Yeah, definitely. And that just keeps everybody like keeping the energy flowing and,
Yeah.
talking to different people. And a lot of the times you might not even know that your skill is something that people really need,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't even actually, I feel, pursue a lot of the stuff that they might want to learn or need because they might not have the money to do it.
Yeah.
But if they have something to offer back, that's a way that they can both build up.
Yeah, it's really the way of the future. There's a lot of people that are doing this, what's called a commoning economics, where you take away, well, like the people own the resource, and that's similar to what Barterloo is doing.
Yeah.
There are a little bit of nuances, but I'm not an expert on commoning economics by far. But it is essentially where the people have the resource, and no one person owns it. So
Yeah. And I think people are so drained. I'm not saying everybody hates their job, but a lot of people do. And I think people are so drained after doing that all day, and you have 2 days off and you got to get work and stuff done, that you don't have the time or energy to follow the things that light you up. Oh, I want to learn pottery or anything. And it's sort of like, this isn't a way that you can give, something you have and get it back without feeling drained. You know what I mean? It's like an equal energetic exchange where it just flows, and you feel also more fulfilled. Like if you're working a job and you're one of thousands of people punching in, you may not feel like you have value in a way that you do. We all have so much value, and I feel like that's been suppressed for so long, and I'm like shaking it out. It's coming out.
yeah, you're
We're all getting our value, or finding our value again.
yeah, and also purpose. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine how many people will pursue the crafts that they've wanted to pursue, and then that takes off for them?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Just more happiness all around.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we're taught that our value is our percentage, in our annual raises. It's like, oh, your value is 5.5%.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, we didn't get enough money this year, so you get no raise, but great job.
Yeah. It's like Christmas Vacation when he works forever, and he's like, you get the Jelly of the Year award.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry, you can't get the pool that you wanted.
Exactly.
Sorry.
But that's the thing, is if we knew that we didn't need to rely on an outside system, that wouldn't be good for the people with the systems, but it would be so good for for us because we have more than we could ever ask for, even
Yeah.
probably within 1 mile of this building.
Yeah.
There's so much value that just hides. It's just not, it's like under a rock because we're not taught to look at life that way.
Yeah.
And that's not the way to do it, I don't think.
No.
It's
no.
not.
So I know that developing something like this is difficult. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going is that it's something bigger than me. And I have this platform for a reason. I've gone through the things I've gone through for a reason. All the things that I thought, were meant to be and didn't work. I knew I was learning lessons along the way to lead me to something else. Even when I was 5 years old, 6 years old in a small town, I'm like, I'm supposed to do something. I don't know what. I
Yeah.
didn't know what that meant or what that looked like. And I did Project Runway. I was on Good Morning America. I created this beautiful jewelry line. I do all these random things. And I still feel like I haven't done the thing I'm supposed to be doing yet. And I think after I just went to Mexico a couple months ago is when really the idea actually, because I always had the idea, but I couldn't conceptualize like what it looked like in my mind. It was just all floating pieces. And this sounds so crazy and wild, but I'll tell you. So like I said, I'm really into energy and all that stuff. We did a wild dolphin swim when we were in Mexico. That's one of my dreams because I do all this reading on dolphins. They're so high vibration, high intelligent. They actually keep wisdom and knowledge, and dolphins are high vibration and everything is off vibration for them. So I always wanted to do that because I'm like, I want to go swim with dolphins and just like vibe with them. I don't know what's going to happen. And my cousin won this trip 2 months ago, and we weren't even going to go to Puerto Vallarta anytime soon. And I always wanted to do wild dolphins. It was never near us. And I looked at the hotel we were staying at, and the wild dolphin tour was literally across the street.
Oh, wow.
I was like, done. We're doing it the first day. So me and my cousin actually meditated on like the thought of just vibing with the dolphins and receiving knowledge. And we swam around with them for like an hour. And I didn't feel like anything different after. I had 4 more days of my trip, and I got home at midnight. And then I went to bed, woke up at 8 in the morning, and all those floating ideas that were in my brain about this barter app, the first second I opened my eyes, just flooded with a concept.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving dolphins all the credit, but I feel like they really unlocked, all those things I was trying to do because I wasn't even thinking about it. And I just woke up and I started the voice memo. I just started talking into my phone because I couldn't keep up writing
Yeah.
of the download I had of like, it was just so clear. I don't know if it was the mental clarity of the vacation as well, but I really was like, this needs to happen when I got home.
I have to go find a dolphin so I can organize my thoughts. Honestly.
Go to Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
She was lovely. I also learned on the dolphin tour that dolphins have fingers. Did you know that?
No.
It's like they're wearing mittens. They got fingers under there.
Did you touch it? Like, can you feel them?
No, you can't touch the dolphins.
Oh, too much energy.
I guess.
I'm excited to see like what happens. Just want to like keep up with the Kickstarter. I know when the community really gets into like seeing a great idea come to fruition, like people just love to watch the Kickstarter grow and contribute, obviously. So that's going to be exciting.
Even just sharing, you know what I mean, is huge. So we're going to have a whole media asset page with like logos and, can make it easy for people to share and get the word out. So
how soon can someone become an affiliate and start talking about it?
We're going to have the media assets and everything up ready to share probably 3 weeks before the Kickstarter. So we have like a list thing going for anybody that signs up. Right now, the link in my bio, it's the top link. It says the Barterloo affiliate. You can sign up now to become an affiliate. So once we launch the program prior to the Kickstarter, you'll get all the information that you need and you can sign up and have your code that you can send to people to go to the Kickstarter.
Nice. Well, I'll link all of your socials in the show notes.
Thank you.
Where they can find you, your link tree, and also to Barterloo. Is there anything that you want to ask the community to do? Sign up, follow on Instagram.
I would say sign up. Even if you don't want to be an affiliate, on that link you can check the box to be an affiliate, or if you just want updates, and then there's a box to link for both. So even if you don't want to be an affiliate and you just want to stay up to it,
Yeah.
and see what's going on with it, you'll get all the latest updates and anything new that we have coming out you want to share. If you want to see Barterloo grow, that would be super helpful for the community.
Well, go follow Barterloo. Sign up to get updates. It'll be in the show notes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I
Thank you for
can't
having
wait
me.
to see how it goes.
I'm so excited. And thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode as much as I did. Check the show notes for all the details on where to find Kelly, her weekly auctions, and finally how to stay in the know with Barterloo. Don't forget to subscribe to stay in the loop with local threads. I'll see you next time.